like to take full control of the webinar and introduce yourself better.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Let me go to sharing and share my slides. Where'd my slides go? Hold on one second.
Okay.
Here we go.
Perfect.
Great. Thank you, everybody, for joining tonight. I'll give you a little bit about my background. So my name is Eileen Brewer, and I'm currently living in Suleimani, and I'm working through AUIS, running the Tuckween Accelerator, which some of you may have heard of, since most of you are probably AUIS and other university students. I come from Silicon Valley with 20 years of experience working at tech companies in Silicon Valley. And in addition to that, I also do a lot of contract work with the US embassies around the world teaching entrepreneurship. Due to COVID, I had to stop traveling. And so I was able to find this job in Suleimani. And so now I'm in Suleimani for a while, working on building out the Tuckween Accelerator and helping the startups here all across Iraq. So before I go into the 21st century trends, I would like to talk a little bit about entrepreneurship and what's happening here in Iraq. So, and Kurdistan. There are incubators and there's accelerators. So an incubator incubates ideas. And some of the incubators in Iraq and Kurdistan are the Station, Top Mountain, 51 Labs, Orange Corners. And the purpose of the incubator is to help people ideate. If you have an idea, but you don't know what to do next, then an incubator is a good place to start. They incubate ideas and grow them into a business. So they'll give you some basic beginning business acumen and help you do some market research. After you have had a business running for a couple of years and you have some customers and you have some revenue, then you go to an accelerator. And an accelerator helps you accelerate the business after it's up and running. So Tuckween is the first accelerator in Iraq, and we're housed at AUIS. And we have been helping the startups here all across the country. We run an accelerator program, which is 12 weeks long. We did a cohort last fall. And if you go to our YouTube channel, you can watch some of those presentations. We have a spring cohort happening right now. And we will have a pre-accelerator program in June, and the applications for that open on May 1st. We will only have applications open for 2 weeks, from May 1st to May 15. So if you have an idea and you've been building a business and you have the business started, but you need some help, then come apply to the pre-accelerator. We create a community that includes trainers and founders and mentors and investors. And then from that community, we're helping to grow the startup ecosystem in Iraq. What I'm going to do is jump over to the 21st century innovation and technology trends. What is happening out in the world, and what are good career paths and industries for you to get involved in now so that you can be on the cutting edge of what's coming in the future? We'll be talking about all of these different things: exponential acceleration, quantum computing, hovering cars, artificial reality and virtual reality, blockchain. I'm supposed to shrink this down to about 30, 40 minutes, so I might skip a couple slides here and there. What I wanted to explain is why we're going to see advancement happen so fast in the next 5 to 10 years. So first we have to understand a little bit about the history. So I'm going to be a little technical for the first couple of slides to give you the history, and then I'll show you all the amazing things that are coming. So what happens is, in Moore's law, the number of transmitters on a microchip doubled every 2 years, while the computer costs came down. And this is why you've seen cell phones change so much over the last 20 years. This is an example. A cell phone is the perfect example of Moore's law. So things kept getting smaller and smaller. The phones got smaller and thinner. and the costs were come down. So they first were very expensive, and then they started becoming affordable. Moore's law has expired because things are happening so fast now, and it's been replaced by a new term called Rose's law. So in Rose's law, we're going to go even faster. So when you hear about quantum computing, what that means is normally when we do coding, we have ones and zero, ones and zero. Everything that you see that's happening on the web, on your phone, everything has been turned into ones and zeros and get transmitted, and then it gets converted back into a message or a picture. And those ones and zeros were always separate. In quantum computing, they can put either a 1 or a 0 on both on the same bit. So it can become a 1 or a 0. So it can go even faster. So it's not as many bits, it's half as many bits, because that bit could become a 1 or a 0. I'm not going to get any more complex than that. But because of this, we're going to go twice as fast as Moore's law. So think about what you've seen happen in the last 20 years around technology, and then double that. Or even if you just go back 5 years, think about what you had access to and what you were using 5 years ago, and what you've seen change in 5 years. Now imagine seeing those changes be twice as fast for the next 5 years, and then faster even the next 5 years after that. That's what I'm talking about. So there's a great path for a career, for startups, or for employees in quantum computing. Anytime you see any course being offered in quantum computing and you like coding, I recommend that you take the courses. Right now, there's a lot of free courses in quantum computing because there's so few people that know how to do it. So the researchers and the companies like IBM and others who are building the quantum computers don't have enough engineers to work on them because not enough people have learned quantum computing. So if you love to code, you can be employed forever. Just start taking the free courses, because pretty soon they're going to start charging for those courses. So it's a great path. The next thing I want to talk, well, this is very similar to what I was talking about how we're going to see this growth and this trajectory of change and progress. So I'm going to skip this one because there's more interesting things to talk about. When something is going through a technology change, think about the phones at home versus your cell phone. They go through what's called the 6 Ds of exponentials. So first you digitalize something. Instead of an analog phone, it became a digital phone. And then you go through this deception phase where nobody believes that it can really happen. Then you go through this disruption phase where it's starting to get into the market and you're really disrupting the existing business. And then the demonetization makes it more affordable. It becomes affordable. And then dematerialization makes it more expand. It's getting into more places. Democratization also brings it out across the world. So quantum computing is something that you hear about, you don't quite understand it, you don't know how it will impact your life. It's in that deception phase right now, and it's just about breaking into the disruption phase. But you will see within the next 5 years, quantum computing be very disruptive and start being used in many places. This is what a quantum computer looks like. They're huge and they're in these big cells because they have to keep them very, very cold because they operate so hot. They're moving so fast. They're very, very hot. And so they keep them in these refrigerated cells, and they keep them, if you look over here in Celsius, where they would keep them, they keep them all the way at 273 Kelvin, which is much colder than Celsius or Fahrenheit. This D wave here is a quantum computer. And if you would like to hear what they sound like, I would recommend going to YouTube and type in IBM quantum computing and listen to them running. It sounds almost like chiming. These are some of the leading companies that are working in the quantum computing space. So if you're taking a bunch of courses and get yourself some certifications, you could start reaching out to some of these companies for some work. We're going to see quantum computing disrupting the logistics of how products move around the world. We're going to see it impact military and chemical research and satellites. Imagine being able to figure out how compounds work together faster. Instead of doing small experiments with each one, you can take the history of how one compound reacts to another compound and put these into tables and get the results faster through computing instead of having to actually do each one of them. So we're going to see this disrupt us in many, many places. I'm going to skip this one because, again, I have a shorter period of time and I have some good stuff to show you. What I wanted to mention is the Fortune 500 companies that we know about today are not the same ones that were there when the Fortune 500 list started. And what I mean is it's constantly changing. There's constantly a change of who's in the Fortune 500. Only 57 of the original 500 are still on that list today, which means the ones that replace them are the startups. The startups grow and become successful, and they become the next Fortune 500 or the Fortune 100. This means that you will always have an opportunity to participate in, contribute to, and grow with these companies. It's not static. So servers, these are servers, and servers hold all the data every single time you're typing on your phone, on your laptop, you're on the internet. Anytime you're going to the cloud or the internet, your data is passing through servers. These servers are huge, and it used to be my business to get these built the way that my company wants them built. My background is in this hardware, in this space. So if you take all of these servers and put them into racks, this is what they look like installed in racks. And they used to only ever be 1 story tall, but they got so big, they're now 2 or 3 or 4 stories tall. These are the data centers that you hear about. There are data centers all over the world now being built over and over and over again to support the amount of things that we're doing online. So there's a lot of career opportunities in building these facilities, maintaining these facilities, and also making better hardware. So imagine each one of these servers lifespan, 7 to 10 years. That's it. We take them out and throw them away. It's a huge amount of waste. Huge. So we need you to help us invent better hardware that lasts longer, that doesn't run really hot, that doesn't take a lot of electricity, that doesn't have large components. So help us design better hardware products, because we're not leaving the internet. You and I know we're never leaving the internet. So we need to get better at how we support it and build out the internet. These are what data centers look like. We make them look like regular buildings. We don't put a big sign up here that says data center. We want them to look like office buildings so that they can't become targets. Because often if you knock out a data center, you can wipe out many businesses that are doing business through that data center. We have repetition. So every business, you have your data on one data center. That data center is replicated in 3 or 4 other places around the world. So if one data center goes down, the other data centers bring the data to you, but it's now traveling further than it used to. So you'll experience delays. But just imagine the amount of data centers for Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, plus all the businesses, plus all of the schools, plus all of the everything that you can think of that's out on the web. So data centers is a great place to spend some time. Hovering cars, we call them EVTOL, or electric vertical takeoff and landing. There is already today an Uber Elevate conference that has been happening for over 3 years with all the big car manufacturers participating because they see where the future is going. Uber wants to be able to put enough hovering cars in every city that it's less expensive to get in a hovering car on the roof of your business than it is to own a car. They want to get the cost down. So right now, the US cost for a car is about 59 cents per mile. The cost for a helicopter is about $8.93 per mile. They are working very, very hard on trying to get that cost down so that it's very cost effective to have these. What they need you to help you with is drone design and these blades and composites. They want these vehicles to be very lightweight. Lightweight comes from new composites. So think about fiberglass instead of metal. Now, where do we want to go next? What can we make that's lighter than fiberglass? And where can we build all of the spare parts? Imagine 3D printers being large enough and inexpensive enough that any part that breaks, you can 3D print the parts for that. So there's a lot of opportunity in this space as well. And then we have augmented reality and virtual reality. There's a lot of opportunity here. I have a good friend of mine who works at Facebook, and her job is to find people who are willing to make 180-degree films that can be used in the virtual reality glasses. So educational films. So if you would like, if you're in film, you'd like to make films and you are able to make the full around 360 and 180 films, you can reach out to me. I'm happy to make the introduction. This is for people who are already in the film background and are looking for a way to create new films and have a path. Education, healthcare, entertainment, any of those areas. 3D printing. We're now at the stage where you can print a house with a 3D printer that excretes cement. So this is a 3D printer that is printing homes. These are the homes that are getting printed. You can go to YouTube and look up Icon. Over here is the name of the brand. You can actually watch videos of these houses being built. They're building a community of 25 homes in Mexico, and I think they have a contract to do another one in another country. But there's no reason why you here in Iraq cannot develop this type of technology with your peers. There are so many highly educated people graduating from universities in Iraq that if you come together and think of ideas that what you want to bring into Iraq, instead of being dependent upon importing, what can you actually develop here and help the citizens and the country here? This would be one of those ideas that I would think might be interesting. I'm going to skip this one. So blockchain, as you know, you hear a lot about blockchain. Most of you just might connect blockchain with financial only and nothing else at all. But the reality is blockchain is being used for much more than just financial. There's a column here that talks about the financials of how blockchain, these are all blockchain companies in the financial market. But look over here on the left, there's all kinds of blockchain being used in, I don't know if like in IT, if I have any IT folks on the call, the 7 layers of the network, there's all those different layers. This is blockchain being used in those different layers, or for VPN or file storage, or inside of some of the artificial intelligence. There's blockchain being used in personal authenticity, social networks, retail, gambling, ticketing, home rentals. It's everywhere. It's not just fintech. It's not just cryptocurrency. It's all over. And there's also the same idea, many free educational courses in blockchain and associations that you can join and places that you can network with others who understand it and want to participate in it, who can help you and coach and mentor you. Imagine the periodic table and then trying to bring together, like I mentioned earlier, the different chemicals and trying to figure out which ones are compatible, which ones can build new materials, and which ones reject each other and won't work together. Instead of doing those one by one manual tests, you can put the knowledge inside of quantum computing, and it will do the computing for you. And so we'll build new, faster things. So we're not looking just for computer, we're looking for chemists, biologists, physicists, like everything you can think of. There's a space for everyone to grow into the 21st century trends. This is a company that's a startup that's made a new composite based on what I was just talking about. And they're making lighter bicycles. So it's impacting the biking industry and bike racing industry and traveling. Imagine if you want to take your bicycle with you, or you're lifting your bike on top of your car, if it's very lightweight versus the heavy metal ones. So I actually got the opportunity. This is a female founder. She's doing very well. It was very nice to meet her and learn about the business she's doing. So the CDC, we've heard a lot about the CDC based on the COVID. One of the reasons why they were able to come up with, not the CDC, but some of the medical companies were able to come up with some of the results in the vaccines was because of quantum computing. So D-Wave opened up their quantum computers for free to help coronavirus research. This was one of the reasons why we had fast results and fast vaccines available. I also want to mention that on average, someone is dying from a resistance to infection every 11 seconds. This never used to be the case, and this is because we're becoming immune to the antibiotics that we have on the shelves. Because we overprescribe antibiotics, we become immune to them, so therefore they don't work the way they used to. So we need more research in medicine. There's a lot of room to bring you in this space if you want to work in medicine, to help us come up with new medicines and new antibiotics so that we don't have people dying from common things that antibiotics used to work for. This is, which one? I'm sorry, Zebra ML. This is about making new drugs that are specifically for you. So that if you take your DNA, they can tell from your DNA if you might be prone to certain illnesses, and they can design custom medicines specifically for your DNA. So instead of targeting a whole area, hoping they get the cancer, they can zone in and get specifically where they need to get. So if that sounds exciting, there's a lot of opportunity in that space. I'm going to go by some of these. This is the predictive IV. Is this similar to what I just talked about, where they can look at your DNA and do custom medicines for you? So artificial intelligence, we have all kinds of things happening in artificial intelligence. If you go to look around Soul Machines, Human OS, they are making avatars that look and sound just like human beings, and they're not, they're robots, and they're using them in customer service roles. So when you're calling in and you think you're talking to a human, there's a chance that it's not a human, it's a robot. And this is going to grow more and more over time as the products get better and better. Amazon Go stores, you can walk into the store with your phone. You scan your phone as you walk in. You can take whatever you want, put it in your bag, and walk out. So the devices in the store and the labels are able to know exactly what you took. You don't have to go through any checkout counter. You just leave. And you will receive a receipt because you already have your payment method on your system on your phone. And smart labels are on your food in the refrigerator. And as you take it in and out of the refrigerator, you'll get a text message that says, "It looks like you're running out of ketchup. Would you like to order more?" So these are about the robots that are all over. So we have the vacuum cleaner robots. This one here is a security system robot. When I was in Silicon Valley, we had these in the parking lots, roaming around parking lots, looking for, making sure there was no vandalism on the cars. These robots, I've seen them go across the sidewalks in San Francisco. They're delivering food or delivering packages from business to business. They're learning how to navigate curbs and sidewalks and go from building to building. robots in auto manufacturing. I'm sure you're already aware that, but they're getting bigger and more complex. They're fascinating to watch. We have robots that roam around shopping malls and ask you, are you lost, or would you like to look for a dress shop, or are you hungry? If you'd like to order now, I can point you to where the restaurant is. So when you sit down, the food will be there. So there's all kinds of these interactions of humans with robots. This one here is delivering the food at a restaurant. And robots are the ones who are picking the orders when you order on Amazon or some of these online large warehousings, Alibaba and others. Robots are picking the orders, not human beings. There are still some spaces like the last mile where we may have human beings, but in the large distribution centers, it's robots running in and out of all the aisleways, picking the products. And there's a lot of space where we need you to help with clean water. Help get clean water in every tap, in every house, in every country. The technology exists. We just have to figure out how to make it more cost effective so that we can have clean tap water everywhere in the world. There's a lot of opportunity. Same with air pollution. We need to be able to have cars that emit less fumes and factories that emit less fumes. There's a lot of opportunity to improve this. The first world countries have all kinds of regulations to address it, but there's many parts of the country. If you go to India or China, in Pakistan, the air quality is so bad that you don't even want to be outside. And there's a lot of opportunity to improve that and come up with new designs. Agriculture, how can we grow better food faster and have it get further in the distribution process? A lot of food gets rotten where it was grown because we don't have good distribution systems set up. So there's space for that as well. Drones are being used for all kinds of things now, not just security, not just for fun and games, but also for delivering packages. In Rwanda, you can order a prescription and a drone will actually deliver the prescription to your home. And if you're far away in a village, this is really, really helpful. It's also being used to watch the crops to figure out if your water distribution is perfect. So instead of having to get in a truck and drive all over the acres of what you're growing, you can stand in one spot and send the drone out and actually see what's happening for all of your acres and know whether or not your watering system is accurate or if it needs changed or improved, which will increase your yield. There's opportunities to become a licensed drone pilot. So you can get certified as a drone pilot and then get paid for operating drones in different places in the world where you are helping with all types of industries. So imagine if there's a huge tornado or an earthquake and many, many, many buildings have been damaged. Instead of sending people into each one of those buildings, you can actually be a drone pilot and go in and scan everything and do all of that assessment from one spot instead of having to do all that manual work. So transparent face masks came out just last year due to COVID. They came up with a new material where they could make a transparent mask so you can actually see the smile and the mouth moving, which is very important when trying to communicate. I know for me, I'm having a hard time hearing because I can't see your mouth. So this is a startup that received $1 million in funding last year because COVID hit at the same time they were making this new material to come up with a new product. And fiber biomass, this is where we make new products out of nature. So look at mushrooms and corn husks and other types of fiber and biomass that are natural products and use them to replace plastic wrap, use them to replace food to go containers, takeaway containers. Think of all the ways that you could replace plastic and styrofoam by using biomass products. And this is one that I am excited about that I think would do very well in Iraq, because it doesn't take as much overhead, and you have the biomass available to you. It just takes the prototyping and the trial and error, doing research on it to come up with something. And then you use it in your own country first. There's a lot of plastic and styrofoam still being used here. You could replace all of that with new products and then expand beyond. And I am going to stop here and open it up for questions.
Thank you so much, Ms. Eileen. That was very informative. I learned a lot. I hope our viewers have learned as well from you. Thank you very much for that. I have a couple of questions, then we go to a couple of questions in the comments as well. The first question is that, in your opinion, how long do you think it will take for those technologies to reach Iraq? It is obvious that we are slightly behind the world. How long do you think that realistically they will reach us?
Well, I think in the past, it used to take longer because we were operating under Moore's law. But I think because we're now operating under Rose's law, that you will see some of these innovations come to the country sooner. But you need to have a culture that understands them and wants them and accepts them. If the culture doesn't understand it, it will be slower to receive it and embrace it. So it's not just about how soon will it come to Iraq? It is also how fast will Iraq go get it and bring it. So you have a lot of students who go overseas for university, or they get exposed to all this technology, they bring it back. So when they bring it back, that they are embraced. It's about a mindset and a culture that embraces the change and the technology that's coming, not one that just waits and then when it comes maybe resists it. So it's a two-way street.
Yeah. So maybe education will have a big role in that. If our education can teach the students to be more accepting of those kind of technologies, then we'll be more able to bring them here. All right, thank you so much. I have another question, is that how difficult is the competition outside of Iraq? Some students here might want to go outside to work, might want to go get another degree outside, but have no realistic idea of how it is there. In your opinion, how difficult is that for people here to go there and succeed?
It's very, very competitive. And I'll tell you, it's not just Iraq that I'm making this statement about. I've been to many countries and I've seen it. A lot of the education in many countries is memorization test, memorize test, memorize test. Those who graduate in those environments will not be as successful or do well in interviewing when competing against students who have been through school systems where they get hands-on opportunities to do real problem solving, critical thinking, team building, collaboration, working with others, coming up with ideas on how to create new things and solve problems. So there's all kinds of ways to embed or integrate problem solving and critical thinking into curriculum. I'm not even suggesting that a place like Iraq or any of these other countries completely change the entire curriculum. What I'm saying is that there's an opportunity to start putting problem solving and critical thinking and these skills, these are soft skills, into existing curriculum, so we graduate more people who can be more competitive at an international level. Soft skills are critical, really, really critical. Any school that's not teaching soft skills are not doing a favor for their students.
Absolutely, I agree. There's another question from the comments, that how can one keep up with all the technology that is bombarding our daily life? You may learn something today and never master it. That would be obsolete before you can ever figure it out.
So we don't have to know everything. We just pick what inspires us and interests us. So I don't know everything, but I do stay in touch with what's happening. So when I hear about drones, I go and I'll read articles about drones. And so I know the most current information. Or if I like, it's about just reading and staying current. And I'm not saying reading volumes. I'm just saying read what good sources of materials, not the feed that you normally get all day.
Absolutely, yes.
But actually read the high quality sources of materials to stay current at enough level that if somebody says something to you, that you know what it is and you have a basic understanding of how it operates. Like, I don't really know a lot about cryptocurrency, and I don't want to go read volumes about it. But what I do is I went and I bought cryptocurrency. I spend $10 and I buy cryptocurrency. So I'm getting that exposure and I'm learning about it. I don't want to be a big TikTok fan, but I do want to know what TikTok is. So I will create an account and download it and use it for a day. And it's like, okay, now I know what that is and I don't have to do it again. So it's about choosing what's interesting to you. So you don't have to go deep into everything, but constantly skim and read a little bit about everything. And then when you find things that hold your interest, then go deep into those topics.
I guess that is one skill that you can teach in universities and schools. And once students learn how to follow up with those kind of technologies, I guess everything will be easier for the acceptance that we talked about. There's another question, is that what is your take on the current wave of decentralized finance? Do you think we can reach a point where we do not need banks anymore, or could there be a hybrid future?
So what's happening is the banks are recognizing that cryptocurrency is not going away. When we first heard about cryptocurrency, we thought, when we first heard about Bitcoin, we just thought, oh, this is just some fluke. It was in the unbelievable stage, right? If you look at the 6Ds, we just thought, oh, that's just a fad. It'll go away, right? And we didn't pay a lot of attention. And look at us today. It's being used as currency in many, many places. It's being used, not just Bitcoin, but there's 400 or more different types of cryptocurrencies now. Banks have figured this out. So there are banks in the US and the UK who are part of the developing and advancements of cryptocurrency because they realized they were going to get put out of business. So it was either get on board or go out of business. And they recognize that, and they're in the game now. So banks won't go away, but they will be some of the distributors and managers of the cryptocurrencies. For example, the wallets, like you need a wallet so that you can buy and sell cryptocurrency. So banks will start coming out with their wallets. You'll see a Bank of America wallet or a Biblos wallet, right? That will be for the cryptocurrency. Where the slowdown will be is governments that don't support cryptocurrency and want to lock cryptocurrency out of their country is where they'll fall behind, because this is, again, it's that advancement of technology. It's not going away. It's going to happen. It's going forward. Those countries who recognize it and support it and figure out how to regulate it and have businesses participate in it, those countries will always stay ahead of countries who don't understand it, don't research it, and create legislation to block it.
Some people believe that cryptocurrency can actually replace credit cards and debit cards. Do you think that will ever happen?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, wow. Okay. I think that concludes our questions for tonight. Thank you so much, Ms. Eileen. This was a great opportunity to talk to you. We are so lucky to have you with us tonight. Thank you so much again for your time. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do that now and turn on the notification button so you do not miss out on our future webinars. Thank you again, Ms. Eileen. I hope I can see you soon better. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks.
Good
Bye,
night.
everyone.
Bye-bye.